and welcome to Pep Talks. It's been a while. I have not been in my regular rhythms the last few weeks. It's been quite a bit of a challenge traveling from Accra to Nairobi for a couple of weeks, organizing two major global conferences, people coming from all over the world, literally every continent, and then having to fly from Nairobi to Dubai and then 16 and a half hours from Dubai to Houston to get to San Antonio, Texas for my doctoral intensive. You might know that I'm involved in a doctoral global leadership program with Fuller Theological Seminary, and it was time for an in-person session. And for a whole week, it was kind of a retreat in a monastery in San Antonio. Very, very interesting place. But more importantly, very interesting conversations. And it's one of such conversations that I want to just drop in your mind to think about. Now, this was a session we had on finishing well. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Bobby Clinton, Robert J. Clinton, but he was a professor at Fuller. He's still alive, actually, and he probably has influenced leadership development, emerging leadership development than perhaps anybody in modern times, as far as leadership formation in the academy is concerned. And there are people like John Maxwell, but John Maxwell writes more for the popular, space. But Bobby Clinton did a lot of work. I think about over 5,000 case studies of past leaders in the Bible, in history, contemporary leaders, and all of that, and found some very interesting things. In fact, he came up with what is called the leadership emergence theory. And one of the things he found out was that very few leaders finish well. In fact, according to Bobby Clinton's work, a third of leaders finish well, another third finish so-so, and another third finish badly. Now, one of the things that Professor asked us to do was, we were put in groups and asked to think about people who finished well, so-so, and badly. And it was a fascinating experience. And one of the most shocking was Solomon. Solomon started very well, but finished poorly. At best, you say so-so, but really poorly. Because at the end of his life, what God said to him was that, Solomon, I'm going to tear away the kingdom from you. And in fact, the only reason why there's going to be even any legacy after him is because of David. David's wholehearted devotion to me and the covenant I made with him. Because of that, two things: I'm going to reduce this punishment in terms of season and scope. Season, because it's not going to happen in your time. I'm going to tear the kingdom away, but it will happen in the time of your son, Rehoboam. But also, that's in terms of season. But in terms of scope, I'll leave you one tribe. There are 12 tribes. I'm going to tear the tribes, tear you out, but I'll leave one tribe, the tribe of Judah, for you. Again, just because of David. Now, how did Solomon end up so badly? It was fascinating looking at the book of Deuteronomy. This is like, maybe, depending on your belief in when Deuteronomy was written, this could be maybe 500 years before they even entered the promised land. God gave warnings about how, if ever they decide to choose a king, the king should conduct himself. If you read the life of Solomon and you go back and compare that text, in Deuteronomy 17, it was as if Solomon literally listed the things and decided to go against each of them one by one, accumulating wealth, having many wives, accumulating horses. In fact, he had chariot cities, going back to Egypt, not just for horses. He actually went back to Egypt and made a covenant, made an alliance married the king of Egypt's daughter, the Pharaoh's daughter. How did this happen to Solomon of all people? One of the things that was supposed to prevent that, it was in Deuteronomy 17, God actually said that the king must write out a copy of the Bible for themselves. How are you going to finish well? How am I going to finish well? One thing we did, and I suggest you do to if you haven't already, think about your tombstone, your epitaph. What would you like to be written on your tombstone? I want it to be written, here lies a leader of leaders, a disciple of nations, just like Jesus. A financially free leader of leaders, disciple of nations, just like Jesus Christ. What would you want on your epitaph? And then you know what the secret is? Backtrack. Backtrack. Ask yourself, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do monthly, quarterly, yearly, going forward for the next 10, 20, 40, 50 years as the Lord will give me to make that epitaph come true? I hope you finish well, not just so-so, and certainly not badly. Take care.